You know the Netflix program, my next guest needs no introduction. So I feel like that's a good way for us to start.
No. Please introduce me.
I've started every interview today with we're here at the Jaffa Port at Building Blocks 2025 at the kind invitation of Collider. And for those of you who've been listening from abroad who keep hearing me say Collider, 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 if you haven't seen the episode we did with Elon yet and you still don't know who Collider VC are, Adam Benayoun is the founding or managing partner at Collider, which is a crypto-centric VC. They are based in Israel, but they are not restricted to the Israeli ecosystem. They've made some very significant investments in the space also outside of Israel, and he is kind enough to invite me here today. And thank you for that, Adam. I really appreciate it. And I finally, after an entire day running and chasing after him, was able to actually pin him down for 5 minutes to just share a little bit about, I guess, how did you guys...
We had a conference to run, right? But now it's...
Well, before you tell me about you and about how you started Collider, what are your thoughts about today? Did you have a good time? Is it like a wedding where like you just like in insanity and you don't get a chance to eat anything, or where did you enjoy yourself a little bit as well?
First of all, I did not eat today, but I was not angry. But I really enjoyed the conference, the vibe. I've been stopped by maybe 60, 70 people today who said this is an amazing conference. The motivation to do this conference was mostly to remind people that there's an ecosystem here. We've been through a very tough year and a half, and we had a conference in 2023. We wanted to do one in 2024, but because of the war, we did not. And initially we made plans to do a smaller conference. We wanted to do some mini blog. We said, well, it's going to be a war. A lot of people will not come to Israel. Let's do like a small event, 100 people, 150 people, and we see how it goes. And then 3 months before the actual event, pinned down a date and everything. I told Elon, let's go big. Let's do Building Blocks 25, and when we do something, we do it. We try to do it, as great as possible. And so we invested a lot of time, a lot of money. A lot of sponsors came to, I would say, to the flag. And within 2 weeks, when we started pitching sponsors, we had the whole event pinned down.
I think it is the only crypto event in Israel that managed to bring people from abroad who come in specifically. I know we have a few clients who made the trip out just for a couple of days to be here at the event, and they were not disappointed. The food, the content, the location, the fact that there's parking is insane. I've never been to a conference anywhere in the world, a crypto conference, that there's actually parking, except maybe LA Blockchain.
I was against. I was like, why parking? Tel Aviv, there's there's a train.
So if you're not on the train station, then you can't really invite people to come.
But I have to tell you, to be really frank, and there's a few other crypto conferences in Israel who are great, and they also managed to bring people from abroad.
You don't have to be nice, Adam. It's
not true. I believe in collaboration. I believe in this word in Hebrew is called filgun. I don't know if there's an English counterpart.
I'm not sure that filgun is actually a Hebrew word. I feel like it's probably like stolen from Arabic or.
Yeah. So the thing is, what we did here is, and in 22 it really worked well because Starco was doing an event and we did an event. So a lot of people came from abroad. We had one person who came from abroad say, I came specifically for Building Block. He did not have a ticket. I was like, go, of course, come inside. I gave him a VIP ticket. I said, dude, you went on a flight. You came all the way just to be in this conference. You're a VIP.
Well deserved.
Thank you. Yeah, but I think the secret sauce is having as many conferences, side events, so many conferences, because you have to think about the ROI of the people who are coming from abroad, right? I want that 2 years from now, people will open on January their map and say, okay, what we're going to do.
What's my conference strategy for this year?
And it's going to be ETC. I don't know if it's going to be ETH Denver, but we definitely want Israel to be
on the map.
Top
and there's no reason why it shouldn't be. We have such a strong ecosystem here. And I always meet people, almost always, most of my guests that I interview are people from abroad. and I almost always hear from them, I'm dying to come out to Tel Aviv. Could you give me an excuse to do that from work?
For
I
sure.
told Elan, like, the week before I interviewed Elan, and actually on the podcast, he mentioned to me that I think it was the first time that he mentioned that there's going to be a Building Blocks. The week before, I had on Hester Peirce, the SEC commissioner, and she
I know
told me
you
I'm
tried to
dying.
bring her. I know.
She said I'm dying to come out to Israel, and I said, great. You know what? I didn't want to say anything, but there's actually this conference at the end of March, and she said there's no way in hell that I'm going to be able to find the time to come out, but she wants to, and and her and other people want to be out here, and we need to give them opportunities to do that.
Sure.
I know that like the crypto conference scene has given me the opportunity to see the world, and so yeah, like I hope that Building Blocks becomes a fixture of the local ecosystem, and I hope there will be one next year and the year after and the year after that.
There's going to be a Building Block 26. There's going to be a full week of innovation. We'll call that Crypto Week, Blockchain Week, whatever. I already talked to a few conferences, and we decided to just have all the conferences in the same week. So we're going to sit down in a couple of weeks and decide, what will be the date that we'll do. And then we'll do a few strategic partnership with other conferences from abroad. A few conferences, organizer here. Michael Amma from Paris Blockchain Week is really like is running like one of the biggest conferences in the world in crypto. Wants to do Building Block in Paris. Kind of an Israeli pavilion. And so the idea for Building Block is, one is basically put Israel on the map. Two is bringing the Israeli ecosystem together. I believe my thesis in Collider is very simple. We have the best DNA in the world. Right? We have the best people, the best cryptographer. We have the best security researcher. We have the best entrepreneurs. We're probably top 10, top 15 in the world right now as an ecosystem. We should be number 2 after the States. Okay, I'm not going to say number 1 because it's very hard to compete with the state. But we should be number 2. And the way to do it, the roadmap is to get more people here, is to get more people interested in Web3. We brought today about 200. Today about 750 people came. Okay, 800 registered. I think almost all of them came.
I know plenty who came who are not registered, so I feel like it probably evened out in the end.
Yeah, but the people who paid, and they paid handsomely because that was not a very cheap ticket. But I went toward paying for all of that. A lot of people came, but we made sure that about 200 people from the 800 were people that you and I never met. We reach out to other community. We reach out to Web2 community. We reach out to female communities like cheat codes, and we ask them, bring some people. We even had a Haredic, Israel is doing like this coding.
Israel
training. Yeah. For Haredic women.
Yeah.
I told them, dude, you have to bring them. This is amazing. It's like, and again, they'll be here. They'll get to meet the actual community. The community will know them. Maybe they'll find work. And there were feedback. People came saying and told me, look, this is the first conference in Israel that I go and
it's not the same 5 people.
30% of the people, I don't know them.
Yeah.
And I get to mingle with them. And by the way, we saw that because there were a lot of people mingling outside instead of going inside.
I thought I know the Israeli ecosystem very well, and I was surprised to meet, like, just now I was walking and I saw these 3 people standing in a corner talking, and I didn't recognize their taglines. They're called Soda something or other. Soda Labs. And I said, who are you guys? I've never heard of them. They've got a really cool product and a really cool team, and I was really surprised. I'd never heard of them before, but like I think that's like the coolest thing about Building Blocks is like really the opportunity, like you said, to meet and to expand the ecosystem beyond the like 30 to 40 crypto bros that come to every meetup and without fail. Yeah, I'm one of them.
Me too.
So
yeah,
excellent job.
We want to make Building Blocks very inclusive. We want to bring more and more people. We believe that the path to being like the top hub in the world is to get many engineers.
I want to just plug this in for 1 second. You guys did a phenomenal job and put together this Israeli ecosystem, crypto ecosystem report. You can see the front cover here. Really nice graphics.
And by the way, you can also download. You can
download it. I was going to say it's probably like really heavy because like you can't see is how thick it is. Like this is really like an incredible piece of work. So again, thank you for the value that you're bringing to the ecosystem. we talked a lot about building blocks. Okay, I think we could all agree it was a phenomenal event, and it will just
Thank
keep
you.
getting better and better. But give me like 5 minutes on Adam, and then 5 minutes on Collider.
Whatever
Okay,
you want, man.
so
I can be here for an hour if you want.
tell me a little bit about like your backstory.
Okay.
I always tell people like when they
Yeah.
I ask them for their backstory, they're like, "Well, I studied blah blah blah." No, I want to
Right.
know like what your like where you went to kindergarten, who your best friends were.
Yeah.
And
No, for sure. So I was born in Israel, and when I was 2 months old, I was kidnapped by my parents to France.
Okay.
They did not ask me if I wanted to move, and I grew up in France until the age of
you have
16.
no accent whatsoever.
No, I have a French accent.
Not
No?
really. Usually,
Paris.
like it's very hard.
Paris.
Well, you speak French. You have a French
I
accent.
can talk with a French accent.
I can also talk in a French accent.
Anyway, I came here on the summer with my mother and my sister, and a month into the summer, I come to my mother and say, "I'm not coming back." Ah, yeah, I'm staying here. Say,
How old are you?
I was
16.
16. She said, "No, you're a kid. You're coming back." I said, "No, I'm staying here." And then I told her, father also did that. He came here when I was 16, and then he met you. He was in the kibbutz, met you, and everything. I want to stay here. And for about a week and a half, 2 weeks, my dad was in France, calling me every day. Adam, you got to come back. You got to finish school. And then you can come back when you're 18. And I don't know. I'm staying here. Done. And I'm very, I'm like,
You're stubborn?
freaking mule. Yeah, I'm stubborn. Which is why I, went on later to be an entrepreneur. But, they were not able to change my mind. And at some point, my mother said, "Okay, well, you'll stay here, no problem." She found me a kibbutz, signed me up. We went to a few places that kind of explained to me were my rights and everything. And actually, one of them, the Sufnut, the Jewish Sufnut, I don't know how you call that. They basically told me, "Look, if you come back when you're 17, you're going to be Oleh Chadash, like a new immigrant. You're going to have like a lot of rights.
You get a grant from the
You get
government.
grants, you get tax break, whatever." I said, "No." I thought my mother put them up to it. Like, you tell me, "You got to come back when you're 17." I said, "No, I'm staying here." Everything. It's like, "No, you're all against me. I'm staying here." And after a couple of weeks, my mother trying to do all that stuff, everything was set up. And then she called my dad and said, "You know what? I'm staying too." And my sister stayed too because no one asked her. And my dad was like, "What?" It's like, okay. 6 months later, my dad came. He had to sell a few things, he had to close down, quit his job,
Wow.
everything. And then
Credit to
about,
you.
I would say, 10 years into the process of being here, I was very scared, but I came to them and said, do you
wanna go
enjoy? No, do you enjoy Israel? My mom told me that secretly she wanted to move to Israel.
And she just needed somebody to.
Yeah. My dad said, wherever my kids are, I'm fine. My sister, she's Israeli, so Israeli that she said, "No, I don't want to hear that I'm even French." She actually was born there, and I always piss her off by saying, "Hey, you're French.
You're French.
You're not Israeli."
I'm Israeli.
Yeah, I'm Israeli. I'm more Israeli than you. Actually, she's more Israeli than me. But anyway, this is my story. And then I went to the army. It was very important to me to go to the army. I said, if I'm not in the army, my dad did not do the army. He did the army in France, but he was born here. And then he came back. He did like 2 months. He never he told me I will never feel Israeli because I did not do the army. I did the army 2 years. I was in Givati, and then reserve duty and everything. And then I started. I went to study animation. I like to do things differently. My parents thought I would go to do computer science because as I have a computer since age 8 or something.
Wow.
I was on the internet since the age of 14, 1994, IRC, BBS, all that stuff. And they were almost sure, okay, this guy is going to go to the army. And by the way, in the army, I was basically drafted for an intelligence unit. I don't know which.
How'd you end up in Givati?
It's another story, but I'll tell you that story. You wanted Adam, right? So I actually came there, and before that, when I was 17, someone found me somewhere, and they said, "Hey, we want to draft you to intelligence. You know French. Come." And I did like a lot of tests. I went, I talked to people, and said, "Okay, you got it. You'll be an intelligence." I don't even remember which one.
Okay.
But that was a long time ago, 1999. And then I went to the back room, the place where basically all the soldiers go, and when they get drafted. And I saw like a huge bus with people going on there. And people like, I saw the energy and everything. And I asked the person who was like just drafting and
Where are these
writing and
guys going?
signing, what's this thing? And say, well, these guys are going. They're going to be in the
Foot soldiers.
yeah, in the Givati unit. I said, I want to go there. Oh, you're going to intelligence unit. You're not going there. I said, no, I want to go there. Now in 1999, they were looking for a soldier that would go to Givati and Golani and etc. And when I told him, I said, okay, I'll go, and then changed everything. I went on. A day later, the person who was in intelligence unit
Who was like waiting for you there?
yeah, was calling, found me where I was and called the platoon leader or whatever, and then said, put Adam on the phone. I was yelling, "You're a fucking idiot! You don't know what you're giving up. We're gonna send you now, a van. You're gonna get on it. You're gonna come back. We'll forget that he did what he did, and everything will be fine." I said no, and then hang up because I saw the energy. I was like, "Fuck! I want to be part of this." So
I love how stubborn you are.
I'm-
Both with staying in Israel and
Yeah.
going to the combat unit. That's so cool.
I will tell you, the thing that I say to most people is that when they
Are
ask me,
you like that with your investment theses as well?
yeah, maybe
I would love to be in like the
But
room
what I
when
like
you
to
fight with
do-
your partners.
yeah, I like to take the path of most resistance.
Okay.
I'm
I hope you're not like that with your
I'm
wife.
wired in a way that I need the drama. I need the energy. I need to do what I think that I need to do. Now, again, if I'm wrong, I'll change it. But I need to make those decisions, no one else. And I usually like to make decisions. I like to put myself in a very uncomfortable spot. I like to be like outside of my comfort zone all the time because if I'm in my comfort zone, I start feeling like I don't know. What's going on? I don't want to be here. I don't want to be here. I want I want this uncertainty. I'm 44. I've done that all my life. Even then, by the way. So I was an entrepreneur for about 15 years. I failed. I sold my company, and then I joined 500 Startup, which is a seed fund. And then back then, 500 Startup was well known in the world, like YC, 500 Startup, and Angel.
Wait, before 500 startups, you said you had a failed startup. What was that?
I had three startups.
3 failed startups.
No,
They say
two-
that's like the path.
no, actually one. The second one was actually an incubator, which was doing well. We invested in a few company and ended up doing pretty well. And then we did Binpress, which was a marketplace for commercial open source. We sold that, not a big exit or something, but still, sold and returned money to our investor and etc. I did not make any money of it, but it was very important for me to close the process and sell everything. And then 500 Startup, who invested in me in that startup, were trying to get me to be their partner in Israel. Say, well, we want to get in Israel. We want to do a lot of stuff. And then I was like, nah, I don't know if I want to be VC or whatever. And then people told me, what, crazy? It's like YC knocking on your door and saying, hey, we want you to be a partner. Doesn't matter. You do that after 3 or 4 years,
Yeah.
you're on fire. So I joined them. A lot of people were like, who's this guy who was an entrepreneur like a day ago? A lot of people will go to A200 and then Stanford or whatever, and then do associate, principal, whatever. But I did something else, and so I ended up in 500 Startup. But then after 3 years, and they told me, Adam, you should start your own fund, 500 Startup Israel. You'll be the GP of that fund. So I started raising. But during that time, I was exposed to crypto since 2012. Someone told me about Bitcoin. I was stupid enough to not do anything about it. I mean, I've mined some Bitcoin. I exchanged Bitcoin with friends, but then I said, it's nice, but it's not gonna go. It's not gonna go anywhere.
You weren't passionate.
And then I lost a lot of those Bitcoin. But it's okay. I would have sold them, when they were $100 or something. And then I at some point started angel investing because 500 Startup would not invest in
Investing crypto
token.
companies.
So I told them, okay, I'm going to angel invest, and at some point I'm going to have enough knowledge and experience, and then we can do in the next fund crypto as well. I said, okay, go for it. I did angel investment since 2016.
In your own capacity, in a personal capacity.
Yeah, my own money. Yeah, did very small check. Did 2016, 17, and then 18, and then at some point I was so consumed by crypto And I started putting together like my own investment thesis. The DAO was basically building like kind of VC on chain. That's amazing. And I started reading the white paper of Ethereum, and everything made sense. Like it's like, oh, this is like Web 1, but with the Web 2 element, and it's gonna eat the world. It's gonna take 30 years until we get there. But I knew, okay, I want to be here there. And at some point, I told all of my colleagues, I'm gonna leave Five and Startup. I'm gonna start my own fund. What? You're a GP. You're a partner. You already have a few commitment for the new fund. So yeah, but they don't want to do crypto, and I'm crypto consumer. I went to the rabbit hole.
Wait, you just went from like being like on Bitcoin to being like I'm gonna leave my stable
Yeah.
job where like I'm on the up and up and I'm gonna go all in on
Yeah.
crypto. Like you just kind of like glazed over that, but that's a big moment right there.
Yeah, it's a big moment.
That's like that conviction doesn't come so easy.
My parents like wanted to. My parents wanted to kill me. You moved to Israel. You went to Kavati, not the intelligence unit. You went to study animation and computer science.
And now you're going all in on some scam.
You're defiant. You're defiant, and you're doing anything possible not to do the thing that you need to do. But I said, no, this is me. There's no way, nothing else. And when I have something in my mind, I have to do it. And that's my driving force. If I'm a bulldozer. When I want to do something, I always say, when I want something, I get it. There's no other way. So I went to raise money, and we started raising money. Probably at the bear market, everything crashed. We had about $50 million commitment for the new fund. I was like super ecstatic and excited because what the break? We have 50 million. But the thing is, I co-invested with a lot of people when I was an angel investor, and they wanted to invest. And I said, I'm not doing any angel investment anymore. If you want to invest, you have to invest in my fund. And then everything crashed. But we ended up raising 10 million. Raised a second fund.
What was your first investment? Token investment.
My first, so we did a lot of warehousing. We invested in Cadena. We invested in Zengo. We invested in the Graph. We invested in the.
They don't have tokens.
Hmm?
They don't have tokens. What was your
The
first
Graph-
token
The
investment?
Graph have a token. Cadena had a token. They still have a token. We invested in many tokens. I believe in
And
tokens.
what was it like? Like you came from the VC world, so like presumably like you thought you knew the industry, but you were entering into a subsector of venture capital where you're making like unique style investments. There weren't a lot of people who were investing through SAFs previously, so you didn't have like the same ecosystem to lean on where you could say like, what did you do here? What did you do there? Because you were in a sense reinventing the wheel and some aspects of the business. Was that like lonely, difficult?
It's very lonely even till today. No one talk about how.
And I know I
to
feel that way on the legal side. Like usually you have like a million templates that you could rely on. In almost every agreement that I'm faced to like generate or review, like I don't have precedents that I can rely on.
A new token that does that, this, and then you have to craft.
But it really is like in almost every other subsector of tech, like it's pretty much the same, all like somewhat SaaS based or whatever. Like
you have the
crypto-
NVCA template, and then everyone build on top of them. The YC safe.
in crypto, not only the legal documents, but also like the business models of the clients are like they're often very novel, and you really need to think outside the box. This is also generally like my pitch to clients. Like, I need to understand your product at a deep level to be able to create the proper legal products that will work in tandem with it. And like, if you don't understand crypto, then you're not going to be able to get in their head, so to speak. So it's very lonely.
Very lonely, and it's not going to change. It's as lonely as being a CEO of a company. No one talk about it. No one share. Resources. People say, yeah, we would like to collaborate.
VCs are competitive. Like they're not
very competitive, and I think that most people don't want to share, how the sausages are being made because it's not looking well.
So to lawyers' credit, like Web3 lawyers are very generous. We have lots of professional groups where we share based on our experiences and knowledge, and like it's different than lawyers in every other industry where they're very like competitive and people are generally like nicer.
Also because you guys have enough work. There's a lot of work, right? I know a lot of law firms that like they literally cannot take all the deal flow that we bring them, and so we'll kind of send them to other lawyers, whatever. But there's a lot of work to be done. even setting up a foundation, there's so much work involved in this, so
absolutely.
many risks. I mean, you guys have enough, and I think it's great that you guys are collaborating, because I think the best thing to do is just to create standouts in the industry in terms of legal practices, and making sure that people are coming up with things that are safe and sound and stand out. Is good for me, because then I can invest and feel like that. Okay, someone is not going to reinvent the wheel, whatever. I definitely don't want people to reinvent the wheel when it comes to legal. What I do want is people just pushing the regulation and what can be made, and I'm completely fine with founder with defiant, against regulation or whatever, because I believe regulation is just behind, and the technology is just
It's moving too fast.
yeah, it's moving too fast. So I'm fine with it. But what I'm not fine is, you guys are going to reinvent the wheel how to give ESOP, or you guys are going to reinvent the wheel on how to launching a token or whatever. Or so this thing needs to be standardized. But yeah, it's very lonely, and also again, when I started my fund, I also made the decision of doing a closed-ended fund. Everyone was doing a liquid fund back then, because they were investing in tokens, they were flipping them, they were just making a lot of money. And I did not want that. I literally, I'm not here for the money. Seriously, I mean, I know it sounds cliche, but I think I've made enough money in my life that I can, live comfortably, I would say. But I want to build a legacy. So I did not build a legacy at a big brand when I was a founder. Now I'm going to do it as a VC, and this is why I'm doing building blocks. This is what I'm doing a lot of stuff, the report, everything. There's something in me that want to be seen as collider, and be a force, a driving force behind Israel. We also created together with Neil Hirschman and Starkware and Fablocks the Web3 forum that basically talk with regulator and policy maker, whatever. So we're I always say I have two hats. The first one is to invest in the best Israeli company. The second hat is to move the community toward a great direction. And there, I'm working for every Israeli company. Every Israeli company I'm basically,
Advocating for.
yeah, I'm,
Yeah.
I'm, I'm there.
But you just said like your
Customer.
first hat is to invest in good Israeli companies,
In the best Israeli.
in the best Israeli companies. I was under the impression that you guys are not exclusively
No, we're not.
investing in Israeli companies, but rather in the best crypto companies.
So we invest a lot abroad, but to be honest, our thesis is really on the Israeli powerhouse. Now, there's not enough deal flow here to deploy $100 million or 200 or 250 million. So we basically said, okay, we're going to invest in the best Israeli company, Israeli founder, also abroad, in diaspora, whatever. The Graph, Yaniv, the CEO. I think his mother was Israeli. I mean, he's not Israeli, but we say, okay, wow,
So he's part of the
yeah,
ecosystem.
he's Israeli. Okay, you have an Israeli name, Yaniv, great. And now we're just like, okay, let's also invest in Jewish founders. Doesn't matter if they're American or whatever. But at the end of the day, if you ask me what I want to do, I want to invest in the best Israeli company. Period.
Okay. I love that.
Investing outside of Israel is just a way for us to keep track of all the movement, everything that's being done outside of Israel, but also because we don't have enough deal flow yet to really deploy a big amount of money in Israel.
Okay, fantastic. So let's raise our glass to more
Israeli.
places to deploy liquidity
Yeah.
here in Israel, and hopefully market conditions will
And
improve.
make Israel great again.
Making Israel great again, making crypto great again. Thank you again for the invitation and for joining me today on
Thank
Beyond
you
the Code.
for interviewing me.
I appreciate the platform for having the platform.
Yeah. But you did a really good job. I mean, I've seen you interviewing so many people, and I'm like, oh, dude, you're gonna have like a big podcast room in 2026.
I got to say that, you guys called me only like a few days ago and said, let's do this. And then you called me yesterday and said, listen, nobody responded to the request to interview. So we have nobody. You're going to have to walk around to get people. I had some phenomenal interviews today. Seriously, some like really nice conversations with people. I think they enjoyed it. I certainly enjoyed it. There were times where people were like waiting in line.
No, they gave me feedback. Some people told me this is great. I mean, this is yours, and no, this is not.
So again, I appreciate it, and hopefully, we continue to be an installation at future building blocks as well.
Oh, you're part of Building Blocks now.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Woo, perfect timing.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, thanks, Adam. מעולה. אני ממש... Thank you for listening to Beyond the Code. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to subscribe, share with your friends, and to tune in again next week for more fun and insightful conversation.